Howdy everyone, Poacher here with an Age of Magic video, and in today's video we're going to start talking about the meta for 6v6 in the game. Clan battles will bring in 3v3, 5v5 and 6v6. 3v3 pretty standard, typically the same as 5v5 except you're limited to of course 3 characters. There are no other restrictions. 6v6 though, a very different ball game to how we know of playing the game already. We cannot use characters from the same faction in 6v6. So we have to use 6 individual characters from 6 individual factions. So 1 orc, 1 demon, 1 renegade, 1 wild elf, 1 goblin. It needs to be 6 characters from across the board, which is going to create a lot of teams being built. There is possibly no way of calculating, or there's always a mathematical way, but there's no way of me calculating how many possible combinations of teams there could be. But typically 6v6 teams, I believe you're going to see be built of heroes you wouldn't typically see. With 5v5 still being the dominant form of combat in clan battles, a lot of players aren't going to risk breaking apart their really strong teams to use one of those heroes in 6v6. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I bet you it will. I guarantee you will see it. But on the most part, someone's not going to take out one of their chaos spawn, break up their 5v5 chaos spawn team, so they can use one of those heroes in 6v6. That's what I'm saying. But in saying that, we've also noticed that some factions that are really powerful 5v5 factions, for example, assassins, work much better as a 3v3 squad. So, even though the assassins are a top tier squad, you're probably going to see an assassin or two in 6v6 because you can utilize them in 6v6 and 3v3. There's a lot of different ways to look at this. There's a lot of different ways to strategize, and it's got to start somewhere. So on Friday's stream, we started testing teams that we could possibly build that are going to be powerful. I'm sure easily beaten if someone chooses to not use their meta squads in 3v3 and 6v6, but these teams are definitely going to serve as some type of wall against the enemy. We've come up with 2 really good ones. One, I believe, still needs a lot of work. A lot of this has been contributed to people just coming up with ideas as well. We've got something built off Theo. He definitely helped construct one of these teams. Laris in my stream came up with one as well, which just blew me away. Just how quick he came up with it and just how potent I believe it can be. And there's one that we just built because of an additional ability added to a character for clan battles specifically. So we'll talk about 3 squads today. By all means, if you have any ideas, if you think you can come up with a team, and when I say come up with a team, I am really trying to think of teams that aren't taking heroes away from those top tier 5v5 teams. Unless you can justify that you might be using the other heroes in 3v3. I'll explain a little bit later, but let's jump into it. Let's show you 3 teams that we believe are going to be pretty decent. Okay, so the first team we're versing was made by LOL. Their theme behind this is just a lot of damage. But I think we discovered that it actually just works really well once we start testing it. And the other team is a full rogue team. Now, this is definitely a team that can be worked on. We have not perfected this. We're just using a rogue team because Swamp Killer has gained the additional effect in clan battles. If we can actually click on Swamp Killer. In clan battles at the start of the battle, cast permanent effects on all allied rogues. Damage is increased by 100%, and physical and magical dodge chance are increased by 50%. So there is the theoretical aspect of building a full rogue team. However, a lot of rogues do get strength from their factions. For example, Ash here definitely is strong due to the assassins. He's a lot weaker here than he would be on an assassin's team. So what do we have on the enemy team? Now, this is a really strong team. We wouldn't believe it. Melaine is the bread and butter of this opposing team. She's actually got a really good skill set. She is able to remove debuffs from her allies. She works well with the Brynhild. She is in the leadership position. And the other characters, well, you got Irizit there for protection, reducing damage. He can build up damage as well. Freyhel can reduce initiative. She does decent AoE. Miria, she does huge AoE as well. It's just for a 6v6 team, it's very well constructed, and you will see soon what it is capable of. So with our makeshift team, now this is one of the teams I would be using. I would probably adjust some of the rogues in this, but overall I would, like Crone for example, I might definitely not have in this team. I am happy to use Ash here because I am very confident that I'll be using my assassins as a 3v3 team over a 5v5. Mordred, I'm not going to be using Mordred in a Renegade team unless he somehow is graced by Playcott and receives Awakenings. I just think he's not as versatile as we once knew him to be. So we're going to start off by, we have to attack Melaine. This is the crazy thing. Like, she already starts off with a taunt, so we're going to go ahead and put her to sleep. Now, she gets initiative very quickly. Every time she's attacked, she will get a stack of, I forget what it's called, but 3 stacks of it, and she gets 100% initiative. And she is just very efficient at protecting her squad. Now, of course, this isn't a huge squad. This isn't a massive meta squad. But what is in terms of 6v6? That's what we have to start discovering. What are 6v6 squads? So as you can see, we can come through now with the Chrome. We're doing very little damage. We're going to hide the cage. We are going to go ahead. Now, this would be cool if it was awakened and made that it reduces initiative per rogue as well, not just renegades, but unfortunately that's not the case. So we're going to risk it and try and go for a polymorph that doesn't happen. We're going to hide the Vulcan. We're very close to losing our Ash. He dies. Like I said, he's just not as strong in a 6v6 team as he would be in a Assassin's team. Like, we just cannot attack anyone else, unfortunately. The Melaine is just an absolute powerhouse in this situation. She takes such little damage. I mean, we haven't even broken through her, and we have lost our whole team. We nearly killed her, but there you go. There are 2 teams right there. Obviously, you're not going to be using the rogues against this. There are teams we did build that can beat this, but like I said, it is definitely a team worth considering, a full rogue team. This team, however, I class it as potentially one of the best so far that we have discovered, and we are definitely trying to just use heroes that we wouldn't typically be using in the game. Again, we have the Captain John here because I am confident that I would be using my assassins in a 3v3 team and not using them as a full 5 team. And I know the 3 I'm using, and John is not one of them. We got Maria here. You're probably like, you could probably use a Crimson Order squad. I don't believe that to be the most efficient way to be using the Crimson Order. Because if you break it down, we have Crimson Order and the Archons, who both work well together, giving you access to 12 heroes from both factions. The good thing about the the Crimson Order and the Archons is they have 3 leaders, so you can easily break that 12 into 3v3 teams. Just worth considering. I'm not saying you have to. You can still definitely use the Crimson Order as a 5 team. They are going to beat most regular squads. They are probably at the bottom of the meta squads. They can't beat anything current meta, but they are not going to lose to anything old meta. So just keep that in mind. All right, we'll move on to 2 other teams now. I'm going to throw one in extra that we came up with, and I'll show you how they work and what's the idea behind them. Okay, so jumping into the next battle, and so let's talk about these 2 teams. Now, this first team was Theo's idea. I'm not sure if he came up with the Terrestrial, if that's something we came up in stream. As you can see, we have a Keepers of Arrat team here. Keepers of Arrat are one of the few brotherhoods in the game that are very versatile in terms of faction members. We've got an Archon, we've got a Druid, we've got a Knight of the Council, we've got a Cloud Wanderer. I mean, Playcott, if you're watching this, more effort into your brotherhoods. I think it is a wasted opportunity. Brotherhoods, whenever we released brotherhoods back in the day, they were always so fun. They added so much flavor, and it's just, they're like marks. They're just such a unutilized aspect of the game. We have a Lucky from Children of the Forest, and we have a Teresa, who's not a keeper of Arrat, but she does work well with the Ilios leader. So we've got a bit of synergy here. Like I said, we can break off the Archons. The Archons are such, and the Crimson Order, they're versatile heroes. I think they're going to really shine in 6v6 and 3v3. This team I have here, the attacking team, is a team I created to counter LoL's team, which was undefeated for a very good portion of the night. So it's just a mixed mash of heroes. This team has a theme. It's the Keepers of Arrat, as you can see with the Ilios leader, allied Archons, Crimson Order members, or Keepers of Arrat who have taken critical hit, regen 8% of their maximum HP. So he's benefiting everybody on this team. His leadership extends to every single player. Also, Theodore is getting the most out of his kit because he has no dark heroes on his team, so he's able to. Is Librarian light hero or dark hero? I'm questioning myself. Either way, let's pretend he's light for this video. Yeah, so he's getting the most out of his kit as well. The idea on our team is there is no real theme, but because of the Awakenings Arcane received, her leadership ability extends to all allies, not just orcs, which makes her, again, one of the most versatile clan battles leaders out there. She is almost being awakened to be a 6v6 leader. It's huge. So when you see allied orcs, you just got to remember it's just allies. Allies with HP below 33% HP take 80% less damage. Allies' damage is increased by 70%. And then, yeah, and the awakening stuff. So, she's benefiting everybody on this team. We have the Arrat here for the damage reduction. We've got the Azariel for health protection. We've got Kobolok, who is just a decent hero. Probably one of the best old school heroes out there. If you're a new player and you get Kobolok early, he can carry. He absolutely can. I'm not saying I'm not saying get him to gear 15. But if you do, I mean, he's definitely a cool hero. I hope he gets awakenings. So this team is more or less pretty universal. We got Arrat, who can apply our damage reduction to our characters. It's going to help a lot. We have 7 knives. Now, I don't know if we beat this particular team. This team is actually very powerful. We're going to lock down the Lucky. And, yeah, I mean, we could probably just kill Lucky here. We have a lot of protection on this team. Now, the Rhiannon is on the team because of this ability. Reduces the duration of buffs on enemies and debuffs on allies for 3 turns. It's universal. There is the second section of the ability, which is specific to druids. But to remove debuffs and buffs universally is a huge advantage. So, and you're probably wondering, you're seeing Dreveride here, you're seeing Rhiannon here, you're probably wondering, are you not going to be using these on a druid team? I do not believe so. I believe that with the release of Vendigor and Flora, the druid team is pretty much set on how it's built. It's dark druids now. So these, your Cathbad, your Dreveride, your Rhiannon, they've opened up to be used in other places. So like you can see, we can like cast this right now. We're going to remove a bunch of buffs. We're going to remove a bunch of debuffs. We come back to Kobolok's turn, who can now apply accuracy decrease. Are they protected from something? Oh, Librarian. He has the reflection. So we just... Yeah, you got to pay attention to these things. You don't use these heroes often enough, you forget what they do. We reflected the accuracy decrease back onto us. That's okay. We take out the Theodore. We're going to get some restore here. So, actually, we actually won this. You see, you look at this team and you're wondering, how is this going to be good in any sense? Now, mind you, yes, Azariel is awakened as well. There is a lot of power coming from abilities you would not have awakened naturally. But, like I said, with a new game mode out, you have to really consider how we're going to start using heroes. And, you know, some of these old heroes that you may have invested some effort into, some gear, some experience potions, some awakenings, and you thought that they'd been wasted because they're no longer on the scene. Well, clan battles may be a way of bringing those heroes back. We won. Wow, yeah, I mean, we hang on there. We're in critical HP and a lot of heroes, but like I said, we got a lot of protection on this team. So there you go. That is 6v6 in a nutshell. Are we done with testing? Absolutely not. There is going to be a lot of teams that are going to be able to be built. My plan is, it is a goal. I have so much I need to do. So by all means, if you're willing to help, I'm not going to be against it. I do want to create a list of universal / faction bound heroes. I think that will go a long way in helping people constructing 6v6 teams. Like I said, these are 4 teams you saw that are reasonable to construct. I'm not saying they're heroes you would have put a lot of effort into. Some of them, like Kobolok, most people stop building him after he's been used for the Rock event, but they're heroes that aren't typically being used in most teams. So they're free. They're free, and they work well together to create something that could potentially cause a lot of damage to the enemy if they're not prepared when going up against it. People are going to go into 6v6 completely unprepared. That's the biggest advantage to begin the beginning of this game mode. They're going to see 6 random heroes, and they're going to assume there is no synergy among those heroes. If you create teams that work well together, you have every chance of catching your opponent off guard, and it's going to give a huge advantage to your clan. By all means, if you come up with a 6v6 team that you think is amazing, you don't need to share it either. That is part of the game. It is clan wars. You are there to serve your clan and push your clan forward. There's 100% going to be people keeping secrets. That's okay as well. But if you come up with something, if you want to share it, if you want to test it, you feel free to message me. I'm happy to do so. Happy to theory craft with you, discuss the potential, ways we can improve, and we can go from there. I know a lot of people aren't happy with the new clan battles. I know there are old Clan Wars fanatics as well. But I am enjoying this game mode in the sense that it's given me the ability to come up, and other people to come up with new ways to use heroes in the game. And there are over 150 heroes in the game, I believe. So it's fun. It's enjoyable, and yeah, I'd love to theory craft with all of you. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I will answer it to the best of my ability. And wherever you're on the world, until next time, please take care of yourself.